I am Dr. Jessie John, Assistant Professor, Department of Anatomy, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. Jaipur. Today we'll discuss anatomy of joints of thorax, and we have seen that thoracic case is made by different kind of the bones, and there are so many joints that also are different kinds. Namaste, हमेशा खुश रहो बिटिया. First, we will see what is the thoracic case. Thoracic case is the framework of the walls of the thorax, and it is formed by the vertebral column behind and the ribs and intercostal space on the either side and the sternum and costal cartilage in front. What is the function of the thoracic case? It protects the lung and heart, and it affords attachment for the muscles of the thorax, upper extremity, abdomen, and the back. So we can see here this is the thoracic cage. There are ribs, sternum, and vertebral column. Structure of the thoracic wall. Thoracic skeleton includes sternum and 12 pairs of the ribs and costal cartilage. The ribs and their cartilage are separated by the intercostal spaces. 12 thoracic vertebra and intervertebral disc. Sternum. The sternum is a flat bone that lies in the midline of the anterior chest wall. There are three parts of the sternum, that is the manubrium sterni, body of the sternum, and the gyphoid process. Manubrium sterni is the upper part of the sternum. It articulates with the body of the sternum at manubriosternal joint. It also articulates with the clavicles and with the first costal cartilage and the upper part of the second costal cartilage on each side. It lies opposite the third and fourth thoracic vertebra. We can see here in this picture the sternum. This is the bone that lies in the midline of the thoracic cage, and there are the parts, that is the manubrium, main body, and the gyphoid process. The body of the sternum articulates above the manubrium at the manubriosternal joint and below with the gyphoid process at the gyphisternal joint. So body will articulate with the manubrium, and that joint will called manubriosternal joint, and the body will join with the gyphoid process, and that joint will called gyphisternal joint. On each side, it articulates with the second to seventh costal cartilage. Gyphoid process is a thin plate of cartilage that becomes ossified at its proximal end during adult life. No ribs or costal cartilage are attached to it. Now we will see the sternal angle, and it will called also angle of the Lewis, and it is formed by the articulation of the manubrium with the body of the sternum, and it can be recognized by the presence of the transverse ridge on the anterior aspect of the sternum. Transverse ridge lies at the level of the second costal cartilage, the point from which all costal cartilage and ribs are counted. The sternal angle lies opposite the intervertebral disc between the fourth and fifth thoracic vertebra. The gyphisternal joint lies opposite the body of the ninth thoracic vertebrae. Now we will see the ribs. There are 12 pairs of the ribs, all of which are attached posteriorly to the thoracic vertebra. The ribs are divided into three categories. There are true ribs, false ribs, and floating ribs. True ribs, the upper seven pairs are attached anteriorly to the sternum by their costal cartilage. The eighth, ninth, and tenth pairs of the ribs are attached anteriorly to each other and to the seventh rib by means of their costal cartilage and small synovial joints. And floating ribs are the 11th and 12th. They have no anterior attachment. So these are the ribs These are true, false, and floating. True are 1 to 7, false are 8 to 9, and floating ribs are 11th or 12th. Typical rib. The rib from the 3rd to the ninth have the same general anatomical features, so they are referred to typical rib. A typical rib is a long, twisted, flat bones. It has a small anterior and posterior ends. Anterior end of each rib is attached to the corresponding costal cartilage, and the shaft is thin and flattened and twisted on its long axis. It has superior and inferior border. The superior border is rounded and smooth, and inferior border is sharp and thin. It overhangs and forms the costal groove, which accommodates the intercostal vessels and nerve. Angle is where the shaft of the rib bends sharply forward. Now we see the posterior end. It has a head, neck, and tubercle. Head has two facets. The lower and larger facet articulates with the body of the corresponding vertebra. The upper facet articulates with the vertebra above. The neck is a constricted portion situated between the head and tubercle. And tubercle is a prominence on the outer surface of the rib at the junction of the neck and with the shaft. It has a facet for the articulation with the transverse process of the numerically corresponding vertebra. We can see here, this is the rib. There is the anterior and posterior end. Now we will see the atypical rib. First rib is very small and flattened from above downwards. The head bears circular facet to articulate with the body of the first thoracic vertebra. Shaft is flat and has superior and inferior surfaces and inner and outer borders. The first rib is important clinically because of its close relationship to the lower nerves of the brachial plexus and the subclavian artery and the vein. Scalenus anterior muscle is attached to its upper surface and inner border. Anterior to the scalenus anterior and subclavian vein crosses the rib. Posterior to the muscle's attachment, the subclavian artery and the lower trunk of the brachial plexus cross the rib and lies in contact with the bone. We can see the first rib. Now we'll see the costal cartilage. They are bars of cartilage connecting the upper 7 ribs to the lateral edge of the sternum and the 8th, ninth, and 10th ribs to the cartilage immediately above. The cartilage of the 11th and 12th ribs ends in the abdominal musculature. The costal cartilage contributes significantly to the elasticity and mobility of the thoracic wall. In old age, the costal cartilage tend to lose some of their flexibility as the result of superficial calcification. Now we will see the joints of the chest wall. Joints of the sternum. The manubriosternal joint is a cartilaginous joint between the manubrium and the body of the sternum. Small amount of angular movement is possible during respiration. Now we will see the giphosternal joint. It is a cartilaginous joint between the xiphoid process and the body of the sternum. The xiphoid process usually fuse with the body of the sternum during middle age. Joints of the head of the ribs. The first rib and the three lowest rib have a single synovial joint with their corresponding vertebral body. For the second to the ninth rib, the head articulates by two synovial joints with their corresponding vertebral body and that of the vertebra above it. There is a strong intra-articular ligament that connects the head to the intervertebral disc. Now we will see the joints of the tubercle of the ribs. Tubercle of a rib articulates by a synovial joint with the transverse process of the corresponding vertebra. Joints of the ribs and costal cartilage. The joints are cartilaginous joint, no movement is possible. Joints of the costal cartilage with the sternum. First costal cartilage articulates with the manubrium by cartilaginous joints that permits no movement. The second to seventh costal cartilage articulates with the lateral border of the sternum by synovial joints. In addition, the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th coastal cartilage articulates with one another along their borders by small synovial joints. The cartilage of the 11th and 12th ribs are embedded in the abdominal musculature. Movement of the ribs and costal cartilage. The first rib and their costal cartilage are fixed to the manubrium, are mobile. The raising and lowering of the ribs during respiration are accompanied by movement in both the joints of the head and the tubercle, permitting the neck of the each rib to rotate around its own axis. We can see here all the joints. Now we will see the opening of the thorax. Superior thoracic aperture, and we can say thoracic outlet. The thoracic cavity communicates with the neck through the superior thoracic aperture. The structures entering and leaving the thoracic cavity through this aperture include the trachea, esophagus, ves- vessels, and nerves. The superior thoracic aperture is bounded posteriorly by the first thoracic vertebra, laterally by medial border of the first ribs and their costal cartilage, anteriorly by the superior border of the manubrium sternum. Inferior thoracic aperture. This thoracic cavity communicates with the abdomen through the inferior thoracic aperture, and the opening of the inferior thoracic aperture bounded posteriorly by the 12th thoracic vertebra, laterally by the curving costal cord margin, and anteriorly by the Giffey-sternal joint. Inferior thoracic aperture is more larger than the superior aperture, and the structure passing to from the thoracic to the abdomen pass through opening in the diaphragm. Now we will see the structure of the vertebra. The vertebra consists of body and vertebral arch with vertebral foramen in between. The vertebral arch carries 7 processes, 2 transverse, 1 spinous, 4 articular. The pedicle lies between the body and the transverse process, and lamina lies between the transverse process and the spine. So we can see the structure of the vertebra here. We can see spine, transverse process, lamina, pedicle, vertebral foramen, and the body. And we will see the thoracic vertebra here. And the thoracic vertebra, there are 12 thoracic vertebrae, each which is characterized by articulation with the ribs. Typical thoracic vertebra has heart-shaped vertebral body, and there is vertebral foramen, generally circular, and the superior articular processes are flat and with their articular surface facing almost directly posterior, and the inferior articular process project from the lamina and their articular faces face anteriorly. Spine is long and points sharply downward. We can see here in this picture thoracic vertebra. Now there are two questions you have to answer of these questions. First is what are the joints of the chest hole? So you have to answer the many type of the joints that present in thoracic case. You have to answer in this way. And what is the thorax wall? Explain it. So you have to say what are the things that make the thoracic wall. So you have to explain in this kind. Thank you so much.